Chances are you've already looked at what it takes to qualify for the CAPM exam, so I won't spend a whole lot of time here. The CAPM exam does require a financial obligation. It's $225 if you're a PMI member, or $300 if you're not a PMI member. It basically will cost you $164 to join PMI. That's a yearly fee. I recommend that you join PMI. PMI has lots of resources for you as a member. So you'll get lots of project management news. You'll get an electronic copy of the PMBOK guide. But the real value in joining PMI, in my opinion, is to join your local chapter. So when you go through and join PMI, you can also find a chapter local to your area, and then you can join that, and then you'll get news from your local chapter. The local chapter is where you're going to find people in your community that are also project managers. They have guest speakers come in, people like myself from time to time. They have workshops, they have networking sessions. It's a great place to learn about job opportunities in your area. So I always recommend people join PMI and their local chapter. Now you don't have to, but you can see if it's $225 plus $164 or just $300 if you don't want to join. So you might as well put some of your monies towards joining PMI. Now the exam itself, once you are ready to take the exam, you'll have 180 minutes to answer 150 questions. Of those 150, 15 questions are called unscored, or they're seeded questions. What these are, they're sprinkled throughout your exam, and you don't know if you're answering an unscored or scored question. But you have to answer these with the same diligence, because you don't know if it's unscored or scored. But based on how the pool of test takers answer these 15 questions, that tells PMI some metrics on should that question be included in the pool for future exam test takers. So in other words, if everybody gets it right, it's too easy. If everybody gets it wrong, it's too ridiculous. So they have some metric where they can say, okay, this is a good question that we should use in the future. So don't worry about that. Just assume it's 150 questions, although only 135 are actually scored. The exam software is what you'll use whether you're in person or online. Now you have one 10-minute break after question 75 at exactly halfway through the exam. So you get to question 75 and you have the option to take a 10-minute break. So if you want to use the restroom or stretch or whatever, and I recommend you do, take that 10-minute break. However, once you start the break or move on to question 76, you cannot return to the questions 1 through 75. So you have that option to review things before you take the break as part of your time in the test. But once you go to question 76, you cannot return to the previous questions that you've already answered. So it's after you answer question 75 and start the break, those answers are locked in. Now you can change your answers and move back and forth through questions 1 to 75 or question 76 to 150, but it segments it. So it's like 2 chunks of the exam. The tutorial at the beginning of the exam, very easy, explains how to use the software, that you can move forwards and backwards. You can mark things for review. I like a tool in there you can strike out answers. So you'll be presented with a question and 4 possible answers. Well, you can say, well, I know it's not answer C, so you can cross out C with the strikeout tool. So it helps narrow down what the best answer may be. You can also highlight text or keywords. Just remember, though, that any answer or any question that is blank, where you don't choose one, is wrong. So if you have an intent to mark it and come back and review it later, that's totally fine. But go ahead and select at least one that you're leaning towards. That way, if you run out of time, you don't have blank answers. Most people that I meet over the years, they don't run out of time. There's plenty of time to answer all the questions, but never leave a question blank. You don't want to accidentally leave it blank because that's going to be a wrong answer if you don't answer all the questions. Now on the exam, you'll have lots of different question types. You have drag and drop, where you have to drag something to the right order or drag something to like a specific part of a graphic. They have hotspot questions where they might show a workflow and they say, what's the bottleneck in the workflow? And you have to click it. So, there's all sorts of different scenarios there. Most questions are like the ABCD, like you'll see in this course, where you have to choose the best answer, even if two answers are similar or two answers might be technically correct. Which one is most correct? You'll have choosing graphics. We have to pick the picture. They do have like some cartoons, like scenarios that are played out like in a meeting or working with a stakeholder. And you might see a few video where you have to watch a little video and then answer a question about the video. The testing details on site. I recommend you go on site. I've heard lots of horror stories that have happened when people take a test online. Technical issues, the camera quits working, something glitchy happens. I think it's getting better, but I still recommend you just go on site. Now, while it's nice to be in the comfort of your home or your office, there are a lot of requirements we'll talk about in a moment for taking the test online. When you go on site, you want to get there about 30 minutes early. You aren't allowed to take anything into the testing room. So you wear a sweatshirt or your phone or whatever. You have to put all of that into a locker. They'll give you a little locker you can put all your stuff into. And you can't open that till you're done. Now, if you wear a sweater or a jacket, you can't take that off in the testing center. So whatever you're wearing, that's what you're wearing. So just be comfortable. It won't be too hot or too cold in my experience. They will give you 6 sheets of paper or a little whiteboard that you could use. Hearing more and more you're getting a whiteboard, which, whatever, write down your notes or your formulas. I prefer paper, but it's not your choice. So whatever they give you is what you're stuck with. Then a little thing that has changed in the last few years is you can't start using the whiteboard or the paper until the timer starts for your exam. So in the olden days, what I would encourage people to do and other people would do, once you're in the testing center, you would start the little tutorial that shows you how to use the software, which takes about 10-15 minutes for this tutorial. And then you would just ignore that and begin writing out all of your notes, the little cheat sheet that you have for the exam. Well, you're no longer allowed to do that. You can't write anything down until the exam timer begins. So just be aware of that. If you elect to take the exam online from the comfort of your home in your pajamas, you have to have a computer with a webcam. You need a reliable internet connection. It has to be a quiet, uninterrupted space. So if somebody knocks on your door, if someone's yelling in the hallway, your dog's barking, might cause an issue with the proctor of that exam. You're not allowed to have anything on your desk. So if you have a lot of clutter or things on your desk, just know everything has to be put away. You can't have anything out around you. And you have to take your webcam and move it around and show the proctor that everything's put away. There's no, posters up on the wall behind you or anything. So it's very stringent. They do have an online whiteboard in the testing software. So instead of the notes, you can't write out notes. You have to use the note-taking tool, the whiteboard in the software. So just be aware of that. I prefer that you go in person to take it, but you make that decision. You're in charge. Now, if you fail the exam, which our goal is that you won't. So maybe this information is for those other people, not for you. But should an individual fail the exam, you have 3 total attempts to take the exam within 1 year of eligibility. So you apply for the CAPM, you're approved on, let's say, January 1. You have all the way to December 31 to pass the exam. If you fail the first time, you can try again the second time. If you fail that one, you can try again the third time. If you fail that one, you have to take a whole year off before you can reapply. Now, I have only met, in the over 20 years I've been teaching PMI material, I've only met 2 people, and I've taught over 1 million people. I've only met 2 people that have actually failed 3 times. And those people, frankly, just didn't prepare. They were just trying to game the system, in my opinion. And one actually told me they didn't study at all. But you don't want to do that. You're going to pass on the first attempt. You're going to have a concerted effort. And we're going to work towards you getting this thing done and passing on your first attempt. All right, so that's the exam details. Keep moving forward.